Stop wasting weeks on admin work when you could automate it in just hours. This nonprofit was drowning in manual processes, and picture this, staff accidentally calling deceased veterans' families because their tracking systems were scattered across 20 Excel sheets. Isn't that crazy? They had 1,200 veteran records with no central systems. So, staff were spending more time on admin work than actually serving the people that they were meant to help. Hi, I'm Aaron and I own WildFire Growth AI. I help businesses automate their workflows with custom software and AI. We built this nonprofit, a complete automation system from scratch that eliminates every single bottleneck. And today, I'll show you a live demo of exactly how we did it. This nonprofit flies veterans from Washington, D.C. for honor flights, right? And their old system was costing them time, money, and potentially their reputation. Okay, so let me give you some background as to what this nonprofit did. Okay, so this nonprofit was flying veterans from point A to point B on special flights, okay? So their old system was costing them a lot of time and a lot of money and potentially their reputation because every single time they had to do something, it was all manual. So they had a lot of bottlenecks. That's why today I'm gonna show you the exact before and after transformation and how we automated their biggest pain points with custom automation. So the demo actually uses real scenarios that they face every single day. And by the end, you'll see that how the right system can free up your time for your team so that you can actually serve your clients. Let's talk about Wings of Gratitude. This is not the name of the business, but it's a not-for-profit organization that would be handling flights for veterans. What they currently are using is paper and pen in order to do literally everything I'm going to show you in this demo, right? So in order to find out the veterans that are confirmed and guardians confirmed, just think about these were like manual calls and emails. To find out the wheelchairs needed, they needed to print everything out and make it available for the volunteers that are at the place, at the airport that these people are going on. So imagine a scenario where you have to do everything here on this sheet in printouts, and then the volunteers need those printouts on site. And if anything changes, they don't have the latest information. And that's kind of the environment that this company was in. In this system right here, we have a place where we find all the data, all the medical information, history, the flight assignment, right? We can even go to the flight and check out what's going on in that flight. We can see the assignments that they had, a red bus, a blue bus, a green bus, right? And all the veterans on that flight as well. Even if we went back to Bill for a second, we can go find his guardian as an example. So Michael Foster, right? So we can go to Michael Foster. We can see that this is auto paired them together. We can have all of Michael Foster's information, payment status, whatever we need from Michael. We already said the flights right here, but we'll show it again. And you can actually search for the flight number here easily. And this might look simple, but this is literally something that they had to manually check by hand most of the time, which was taking up a considerable amount of their time. And then reports generated. So here, they wouldn't even need, honestly, to print out anything anymore because they could just use their phones now in order to get access to the system and be able to find out what flight somebody's on, the veteran, the guardian, and anything that the veteran needs in order to fly with. And this is the demo of the system that we built. So the nonprofit had 3 critical bottlenecks destroying their efficiency. So we'll just start with number 1. They had to manually pair up the veteran and guardian together. So every veteran had to have someone there, and they had to shift manually through like just say 180 veterans with guardians every single time that there was a flight. And they always had to check if something was misspelled or the applications came in as incomplete. What we did was we had to automate that for them. Number 2 is the 3-week callback cycles for just basic confirmations. And this is where the staff were manually thumbing through notes to track follow-ups. They were calling veterans, which took weeks because of non-answers and maybe age-related hearing difficulties. So just 3 weeks to confirm if someone wanted to fly, which was ridiculous. And then number 3 is accidentally calling deceased veteran families. Their tracking was scattered across, again, these 20 different Excel sheets. Imagine being a grieving family member, getting a call asking if your deceased loved one wants to take an honor flight. So basically it was extremely inefficient, but it was also damaging to the families. So really the cost wasn't just wasted hours, it was time that should have really been spent serving the veterans. But of course, admin work was just getting in the middle of that. So here's how we solved every single one of these problems. We just named 3, but there's an entire list of other problems that they were facing. So let's go with this one. Direct API integration means that veteran applications flow automatically into their systems. So no more downloading CSVs, no more formatting conversions, no more importing errors or applications arriving incomplete. So everything was getting processed instantly. We also threw in a smart pairing system automatically, which matched the veterans with the guardians. It handles misspellings and incomplete data intelligently. So typically what would take 3 hours of manual work now just takes like, 3 minutes. We also added in automated communication tracking with SMS and email capabilities, which cut their callback time from a month to just a couple of hours every single month. Instead of playing phone tag for weeks, they could just text guardians, email them, do follow-ups, and get instant responses. Also, we built in deceased veteran protection, just a fancy way of saying that the system tracks this automatically and prevents accidentally contacting grieving families. So therefore, no more painful mistakes that damage their reputation and remind their loved ones that they had a veteran who passed in their family. We also added medical accommodation visibility. So that means that the wheelchair indicators and special needs tracking are all prominent and impossible to miss now. Every veteran gets the safe transportation that they actually need. We also added in one-click reporting, which generates all 11 operational reports that they needed instantly, and they were all board-ready PDFs. So this alone, they had to print out every single time. And if there was any updates to the system, guess what? Like, they had to regenerate all these reports for every single flight. So what used to take potentially days to compile just now is like one click. Important. Everything lives in one clean, unified interface. So no more copying data between systems, no more hunting through spreadsheets. Everything they need is actually in one place. Some other important considerations here is that the remote access works literally from everywhere. Let me just give you a story. So before, they would actually have to only be in office to get this data. So they had no access to this online, or if they were at home or whatever the case is. If they weren't in the office, they couldn't get the most up-to-date information, right? So now the staff can work anywhere. This is like home or coffee shops, anywhere with internet pretty much. What they were using was just not healthy if you're out in the field with volunteers and not being able to like get that data that you actually need dynamically. We also integrated their complete historical data, that's 16 years of records, 15,000 veterans and guardians properly organized and searchable for the first time. Some of these things you don't see in the actual demo, but this is something that's on the roadmap. But we also have interactive seating charts, letting them drag and drop assignments that automatically adjust for different plane configurations. So no more manual seat juggling. Real-time status tracking shows callbacks needed, missing forms, pending responses at a glance. Staff knows exactly what attention that every veteran needs without digging through like their notes. What we also included is staff training. So staff training now just takes maybe 30 minutes instead of weeks learning complex workarounds. And this is incredibly important because this organization works with a lot of volunteers. So getting them trained used to be a nightmare. So right now, this interface is intuitive enough that the volunteers understand what they need to do immediately. So let's just talk numbers. 3 weeks of manual outreach becomes 3 hours of automated communication. So that's just one feature of this system right now. The report generation went from like days of work to one-click PDFs. Their board gets better information faster and staff aren't buried under administrative tasks. Veteran guardian pairing dropped from like a couple of hours, just say 3 hours, to 3 minutes with 180 matches. And that's 98% time reduction on one of their most critical processes. The medical tracking errors are completely eliminated, so no more missed wheelchair accommodations, no more safety concerns about veteran care during flights. The remote work compatibility saves office overhead and increases staff flexibility. So now their team can serve veterans from wherever that they're most productive, which in this case would be when they're trying to pick up the veterans. Historical data is finally accessible and searchable. Yeah, like looking at the data on a very old system has now just become like a breeze because you could just like search it. You could just look for the data that you're looking for. So the clean UI actually means fewer errors, faster training, and better user adoption. And when your tools work intuitively, everything else just kind of gets easier. So your organization's outdated systems are costing you time, money, and mission impact, right? And every hour spent fighting broken processes is an hour stolen from the work that actually matters. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because the right automation eliminates bottlenecks and frees your team for what actually drives results. So visit WildFire Growth AI to see how we can transform your operations the same way we transform this nonprofit.